Most spiritual paths fail, not because people lack discipline, faith, or knowledge, but because they are missing a single, crucial piece. That's why, even after meditation, books, rituals, and years of seeking, something still feels incomplete. You follow the teachings, search for signs, repeat the practices, yet a quiet emptiness lingers. It's the unsettling feeling that despite all the effort, the deeper transformation never fully arrives. Ancient wisdom traditions and mystical teachers hint at the same hidden truth. Spiritual awakening is not about accumulating practices. It is about aligning attention and presence with a deeper signal of reality itself. A signal most seekers never learn to recognize. By the end of this video, you'll discover the missing piece that separates those who evolve spiritually from those who remain trapped in cycles of illusion. And once you see it, the entire meaning of the spiritual path will change, perhaps forever. The spiritual journey is often misunderstood as a linear process, as if enlightenment were a distant summit to be reached by climbing steadily, step by step, with effort, discipline, and accumulation of knowledge. Many are drawn to meditation, ritual, and study under the assumption that each practice will act like a ladder rung, lifting them higher, closer to some ultimate truth. But true awakening does not move in straight lines. It does not obey conventional ideas of progress. The path of the soul is more subtle, more fluid, and infinitely more mysterious than the mind can grasp. It does not move upward in neat increments. It unfolds in spirals, in cycles, in currents that sometimes appear chaotic or contradictory, yet carry the seeker exactly where they need to go. Time itself is not fixed. What feels like delay, frustration, or stagnation is often the soul's way of allowing deeper integration, of preparing the seeker to recognize truths that cannot be grasped prematurely. There is a force at work in the background of every moment, an invisible current that shapes perception, circumstances, and outcomes. Most seekers never perceive it, because it cannot be measured, controlled, or replicated by technique alone. This current is the hidden architecture of reality, the subtle framework within which thought, intention, and presence resonate. It is neither abstract nor distant. It is intimately entwined with every breath, every encounter, every decision. Those who ignore it may follow visible signs, chase visions of transformation, and call their experiences progress. Yet, if this current is unrecognized, the spiritual path remains incomplete, a beautiful but hollow echo of what could be. One may read the greatest texts, meditate for decades, even glimpse states of clarity, yet still feel a persistent void, an unspoken question lingering beneath the surface. Why does the inner world not fully reflect the depth of these practices? The missing element, the silent conductor of the soul's evolution, is closely tied to presence. But this is presence in its deepest form, not the shallow awareness of observing thoughts or sensations, but a living, continuous alignment with the subtle movements of consciousness itself. It is a state in which the seeker becomes attuned to the imperceptible currents beneath the fabric of everyday life, sensing the flow that animates events, synchronizes encounters, and shapes the seemingly random moments of destiny. It requires a form of perception that is rarely taught, an attunement not to what the world presents on the surface, but to what lies beneath, to the invisible patterns that orchestrate experience. This is why so many feel stuck, why the path often seems like a repetitive cycle. Without recognition of this hidden current, effort is dispersed, energy fragmented, and insight remains superficial. This hidden force operates like a subtle rhythm underlying all phenomena. It is present in the timing of meetings, the unfolding of challenges, the emergence of insight, and even in the quiet moments between breaths. Those who sense it begin to notice that reality is responding to their inner alignment, that opportunities, guidance, and clarity appear as reflections of a deeper resonance. The difference is subtle, almost imperceptible at first, a sense of rightness that does not demand action, a knowing that precedes understanding, a feeling of movement that transcends effort. To perceive it, one must learn to observe without needing control, to inhabit presence without grasping or forcing, and to trust that the universe's intelligence is active, responsive, and precise. This is not theoretical. It is a lived experience, a subtle awakening that transforms ordinary perception into a channel for insight, creativity, and spiritual maturation. Understanding the nature of this current reshapes one's approach to the spiritual journey. The emphasis shifts from accumulation to alignment, from effort to resonance, from doing to being. Practices do not disappear, but they take on a different significance. Meditation, study, ritual, and reflection become tools to cultivate sensitivity, to attune to the currents beneath the visible, to recognize the signals that have always been present but overlooked. Life itself becomes the teacher, and every encounter, difficulty, and moment of clarity is seen not as isolated or random, but as part of a subtle dialogue between the seeker and the infinite intelligence that underlies all existence. The spiritual path, when approached this way, ceases to be a series of goals or milestones and becomes a living flow, an intimate, ongoing conversation with the unseen, an integration of the hidden element that has been waiting patiently, silently, all along. Imagine a mirror unlike any you have ever seen, a mirror that does not show your face, your habits, or even your outer identity. Instead, it reflects the parts of yourself that exist beyond current perception, the unseen potential, the latent capacities, and the dimensions of consciousness that you have yet to inhabit. Most people walk past this mirror every day without noticing, because they are conditioned to look only at what is immediately visible. They mistake appearances for truth, habits for self, and fleeting sensations for insight. But the deeper reality is always present, waiting quietly, invisible to those unprepared to sense it. This hidden dimension of experience is not about learning new skills or acquiring knowledge. It is about attuning to subtle currents that move beneath the surface of the mind and the world. These currents communicate in signals, not words, in synchronicities, not instructions, in vibrations, not logic. Those who ignore them may continue to meditate, to study, to engage in ritual, yet they remain disconnected from the invisible architecture of reality, the structure that guides destiny, orchestrates encounters, and shapes life in ways that are imperceptible to the casual observer. The tension arises because this hidden current often behaves contrary to expectation. You cannot chase it or grasp it. The more you try to force understanding or manipulate circumstances, the more elusive it becomes. Yet the moment you allow yourself to sense it without interference, it begins to reveal its patterns. Subtle nudges that shape your decisions, quiet intimations that guide your actions, and fleeting impressions that hold the key to alignment with a larger intelligence. Life starts to feel as though it is responding to you, yet the response is never literal or predictable. It is a language of resonance, a dialogue between your presence and the infinite intelligence that underlies existence. This is why most seekers feel the path is incomplete. They practice diligently, follow instructions, and engage with spiritual communities, yet a persistent sense of absence remains. That absence is precisely the indicator of the missing element. It is a space of tension, a silent invitation, a quiet insistence that something essential is being overlooked. And it is within this tension that the transformative insight lies. To sense it fully requires courage, the courage to let go of rigid expectations, to release control, and to inhabit the current of reality with a degree of trust and surrender that is unfamiliar to most. What is extraordinary about this mirror is that it does not merely reflect what you could become, it simultaneously reflects what the universe seeks to bring forth through you. It is not passive. It responds to alignment, attunement, and presence. When you begin to recognize these signals, you realize that life itself is not happening to you. It is happening with you, in collaboration with your own resonance. Every moment becomes a potential gateway, every encounter a message, every inner impulse a key to unlocking dimensions of existence previously hidden. And yet, the revelation is not dramatic or loud. It emerges gradually, like a soft pulse beneath the surface of consciousness, unnoticed until you are capable of perceiving it. Those who stumble upon it feel a subtle shift. Time stretches, perception deepens, and reality begins to carry an unspoken intelligence that was always present but never acknowledged. This hidden current is both elusive and transformative. It is the bridge between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the point where insight transcends thought, and where the spiritual journey becomes not a pursuit, but an intimate unfolding. The tension, the friction, the subtle disorientation that arises here is essential. It is the universe's way of signaling that you are approaching the threshold of understanding. If you ignore it, you continue to move in familiar patterns. If you sense it, even imperfectly, you enter a space where the hidden element begins to operate, quietly shifting everything from effort into resonance, from seeking into participation, and from aspiration into true spiritual alignment. Here is the truth that almost no one on the spiritual path ever fully recognizes. The missing element is not another technique, practice, or insight to collect. It is not a mantra, a ritual, a visualization, or a book that promises transcendence. It is far subtler, far deeper, and yet far more immediate than anything you might have imagined. The missing element is the conscious, living ability to inhabit the present moment with complete attunement to the invisible flow of reality, to surrender into the underlying current that orchestrates life itself. This is the current that moves beneath thought, beneath intention, beneath the surface of every encounter. It is the intelligence that shapes destiny, the pulse that guides creation, the force that aligns opportunity, insight, and timing in ways the rational mind cannot explain. This is not mindfulness as popularly taught. It is not simply observing thoughts or sensations. It is a dynamic resonance, a vibrational alignment between your consciousness and the subtle intelligence that exists everywhere, always, and in all things. When you attune to it, you begin to notice that life is responsive in ways previously invisible. A glance, a word, a circumstance shifts because your attention has moved. Doors open not by effort, but by alignment. Insight arrives unbidden, yet unmistakably. The world stops being a series of disconnected events and starts to feel like a coherent, living dialogue, one in which you are both participant and witness, actor and observer. Those who ignore this element chase experiences, knowledge, and visions, often mistaking them for progress. They may meditate for decades, memorize teachings, or achieve states of temporary bliss, yet the journey remains incomplete. The missing current is what transforms effort into flow, technique into embodiment, and knowledge into lived wisdom. It is the threshold where the abstract becomes tangible, where insight ceases to be a fleeting concept and becomes a living, breathing reality. Without it, spiritual practice is like preparing for a journey without ever stepping onto the path. Structure without life, form without force, ritual without resonance. The ability to inhabit this current requires what most seekers resist: total surrender without abandonment, attentiveness without control, presence without expectation. It is a subtle mastery, one that cannot be taught in steps, measured by milestones, or forced by willpower. Instead, it reveals itself only to those willing to release their grip on linear time, on certainty, and on the illusion of separateness. The universe does not demand obedience or effort. It responds to alignment, to attunement, to the quiet yet profound recognition that you are a conduit, not merely a seeker. When this alignment occurs, the transformation is immediate yet imperceptible at first. Your perception deepens. You notice the hidden patterns in life that were always there but previously unnoticed. Synchronicities emerge, not as coincidences, but as evidence of a living intelligence operating through subtle currents. Challenges no longer feel arbitrary. Guidance becomes apparent in ordinary interactions. Your own intuition begins to operate with a clarity that seems to anticipate the unfolding of events. What once required struggle now unfolds effortlessly because the current itself carries you forward like a river guiding a boat downstream. Yet it is not passive. It requires participation, presence, and trust. This is the one element 99% of seekers overlook. It is not something to be grasped, performed, or attained. It is a state of living resonance with reality itself. Those who recognize it stop trying to force growth, to push energy, or to control outcomes. Instead, they begin to inhabit the invisible structure of existence, moving in harmony with a flow that has always been present, yet unseen. Life stops being a series of obstacles to overcome and becomes a co-creative dance, each step, thought, and intention harmonized with a rhythm that is both deeply personal and universally orchestrated. In essence, the missing element is the bridge between the ordinary and the extraordinary, between aspiration and embodiment, between seeker and awakened participant. It is the quiet current that transforms spiritual practice from discipline into art, from effort into intelligence, from seeking into alignment. It is not discovered through accumulation. It is revealed through surrender, through attunement, through the patient recognition that reality is responsive, living, and profoundly intelligent, and that you, in your present moment, are at the center of its unfolding. There are moments when it feels as if something essential is just beyond reach. You may have tried meditation, rituals, or countless teachings, yet a subtle emptiness remains, a quiet tension that whispers, "There is more," something unseen guiding the path, something waiting to be discovered. It is not failure, nor a lack of effort. It is a sign, a subtle pulse of awareness pointing toward the missing element, the hidden current that shapes perception, opportunity, and destiny itself. Perhaps you have noticed fleeting glimpses of clarity, moments when events seem to align, when intuition speaks, when life feels synchronized in ways that reason cannot explain. These are not random. They are signals, indications that the invisible structures of reality are responsive, that there is a subtle intelligence interacting with you. Yet for most, these moments are brief, fleeting, almost imperceptible, leaving behind a sense of longing. The understanding that life could be far richer, more aligned, and more alive than you have experienced until now. It is natural to feel restless in this state, to sense that the spiritual journey is incomplete despite all effort. This tension is not a problem to be solved. It is a sacred invitation. It is the universe speaking through the subtle language of resonance, prompting awareness, curiosity, and attunement. The very feeling of being drawn toward something invisible is itself a map, a guidance toward the element that most seekers overlook, the current that transforms ordinary practice into profound, living alignment. You may notice patterns repeating, opportunities appearing in unexpected ways, or insights emerging in moments of stillness. These are the footprints of the hidden current, waiting to be sensed fully. Life is not a series of disconnected events. It is a living, coherent dialogue, and every encounter, challenge, or whisper of intuition is part of the conversation. The missing element is what allows these messages to be recognized, understood, and integrated, transforming the spiritual journey from a mechanical pursuit into a luminous unfolding. And now, even in this moment, there is an invitation to quiet the mind enough to perceive the invisible, to attune to the subtle currents that guide life, to meet reality fully without resistance. The signals are always present. Awareness alone is enough to begin aligning with them. This is the threshold where searching shifts into participation, where curiosity opens into resonance, and where the unseen becomes tangible. You do not need to achieve, control, or force anything. The awakening lies in recognizing the intelligence that has always been present, listening to the subtle pulse beneath the surface, and responding with attention, openness, and trust. The spiritual path comes alive not through effort alone, but through attunement, and every sensation of longing or incompleteness is a guiding hand pointing toward the invisible current, waiting to be embraced. Awareness alone is no longer enough. The call is to step into the hidden current, the invisible intelligence guiding life, and let it flow through you. This is not about doing or achieving, but about attunement, presence, and surrender. Life moves like a silent river beneath the surface. Its signals come as clarity, synchronicity, and guidance. By quieting the mind and noticing these patterns, you align with the current, and reality itself begins to respond. Transformation is born not from effort, but from resonance. Each breath, each moment of attention is an entry into the flow. Step in, let awareness become alignment, and allow the hidden intelligence to guide your unfolding. The journey was never a place to reach, but a presence to inhabit. The path, the teachings, and fleeting insights were always part of you, reflections of a hidden current quietly guiding life. Recognizing it, even in fragments, reveals that nothing was ever missing. Life shifts when this current is acknowledged. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, synchronicities arise, and reality feels alive and responsive. Every experience carries intelligence. You are an active participant in the flow. This awakening is subtle, not dramatic. It asks only awareness, attention, and surrender. The hidden current becomes a companion. The path becomes lived, and every action gains meaning through dialogue with the greater intelligence that has always been present. The seeker and the journey merge. The missing element is not found, but recognized. It is not chased, but inhabited. Life itself becomes meditation, awakening, and the reflection of the hidden current now alive within you.